talking top 10 celebrity ghost hauntings, and we're going to start with a musician because, in honor of my single, last time releasing at midnight, so tomorrow, midnight, we're talking about John Lennon. John Lennon was killed in 1980, and he was shot outside of his apartment. And stories go, he wasn't apparently ready to die. Not die, of course he's not ready to die, but of course he's not ready to go. So he's been seen a lot since around not only the place in which he died, which would be the apartment itself, but in 1995 the Beatles were recording a song. I forget the song, and Paul McCartney was said, "Hey, we still feel he's around." So nonetheless, John Lennon, he's still sticking around and hanging out, and he is one of the top 10 celebrity ghost hauntings. And why we do the hauntings, why do we do the crime and all that? Well, I spent 13 years in the funeral profession, and now post-COVID, it's not only inspired incredible songs, but it also has afforded us this opportunity to talk and have authentic conversation about death and what happens next. And it's very interesting. And that leads me to the next one, celebrity, the President of the United States, which would be Abraham Lincoln. Honest Abe, of course, was killed by John Wilkes Booth, but his is probably the most corroborated in my personal opinion. But what does that matter? It doesn't matter. But he actually, there's so many, these are documented cases, if you will, or a documented, hey, we saw Abraham Lincoln here, and let me make sure I read these right. So let's see here. So he was seen by Grace Coolidge. She was the first lady, of course. She was looking out the window at the White House in the Yellow Oval Room towards the Potomac. And other witnesses, Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and let's see, who else was it? Oh no, where'd it go? Let me find it. Of course I'll lose it, you all. What in the heck? Here it is. Hang on. So let's see here. Also, this is awesome. Sir Winston Churchill and a Queen Wilhelm or whatever. So someone passed out. I think it was the Queen that passed out. Someone had the door knocked on. They opened the door. It was a visitor at the White House. They opened the door, and it was President Abraham Lincoln himself, just chilling straight up, just at the door, apparently, allegedly. But these are different times, right? So it's in the 1900s, and then it's in the 1800s, and so you have all this time, and in between that you have people who have documented, who have passed on, who have told stories of, hey, I saw Abraham Lincoln here, I saw him here, this person passed out. Nonetheless, my point is if they're crazy enough to say that they saw him, and it's multiple reports, then I would venture to say that, maybe so. Maybe so. I love the thought of, I like the unexplainable. I enjoy having the conversation or researching or reading or watching videos about what people experienced, right? I think it's intriguing. It's this profound unknown. I'm not naive to the fact that, I don't know, there's a lot of bogus stuff, but Abraham Lincoln having some prominent individuals, presidents, first ladies, I don't know. You just don't know. Bonnie and Clyde, they're another on the list. Bonnie and Clyde, of course, were, it's amazing how they did such crappy stuff, but they're rock stars. And of course they are killed, and there are tons of sightings surrounding where in which they were killed. The vehicle is in a museum elsewhere, but around where they were shot and killed, people have seen apparitions, people have taken photos and have seen the orbs and all that. Orbs are funny to me. It's, it kind of looks like dust bunnies floating through the air to me. But I think that if you were to go and visit somewhere like the place where Bonnie and Clyde were shot dead, I think there would probably be a sense of, energy. I always talk about it. You walk into a place in space, it either feels good or it doesn't feel good. And I like to go into the places and spaces that do feel good. And this place, the studio, is cold, but it feels good. We're celebrating the single, releasing at midnight. I can't wait. I'm so excited. We've been doing a massive overhaul here on the YouTube channel. We're taking it very serious because people love YouTube. You love coming and learning about why things are or why things work. I mean, how-to videos were the most popular videos during COVID, and we have an official visualizer releasing at midnight as well. So we'll keep going. Orson Welles, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Citizen Kane. It's actually on the top 100 list of best movies, top 100 movies of all time. Citizen Kane, Orson Welles was the guy that had many Americans freaking out and thinking that the world was being attacked by aliens with that radio report. If you all had never heard it, you should listen to it because it's really funny. It's like everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, we're gonna die. Nonetheless, it is said that that guy is still just floating around his house, just chilling, hanging out. You know, people have had many occurrences with him in regards to not only hearing things, but seeing figures that resemble that of Mr. Orson Welles. You also check the movie out, Citizen Kane. If you ever have seen it or if you haven't seen it, you know, there's something beautiful about the black and white film. And I mean, he's like number one on the list. Citizen Kane, number one. See, Jeremy even says orbs are 99.9% dust bunnies. I believe it too. What about Lucille Ball? So Lucille Ball is one of, there's a couple on this list. So Abraham Lincoln, in my opinion, going back, I think that he and all of those stories are absolutely worth diving into further. But Lucille Ball is another one. Allegedly, after she died, there's just a bunch of stuff still happening around the house. So the story goes is that whenever she purchased the house, If You Love, I Love Lucy, everybody knows that movie or show. But the show itself afforded her the opportunity to buy this big old house. The big old house apparently was already haunted before. And so her daughter said that. So she buys this house. She goes in this house. She lives in this house. And then when she dies, she apparently just still is hanging out. And the new owners, the joke is that they don't like Lucille Ball anymore because they continuously not only hear a woman talking loudly over what they would assume would be music upstairs. They have seen her. Books have fallen off of shelves. Windows have broken, which I don't know why. Why would a ghost break the windows? You know? Why would they do that? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like if I die right now, and then if I come back to this place and space in the studio, it's like, I'm going to mess this mic up. And so I just start throwing stuff that doesn't make sense. Nonetheless, that's what had happened. And then actually after her death, right after her death, the bedroom, not with her body in, but the bedroom just unexplainably caught on fire. Like there's no explanation. And there's footage of that happened. It's like, what the hell happened? Why'd that happen? My brain's going so fast because I'm just like thinking of all of the stories surrounding all these people that may or may not be some of the most famous ghosts. Ooh. Al Capone, you know about that guy. Al Capone, he apparently is just one happy ghost. I want to be a happy ghost, guys. Let me find this note because I write all these notes and then I can't find them. Let me find it. So we talked about Bonnie and Clyde, and then Abraham Lincoln, and then why did I not talk about Elvis? In the spirit of music, if you ever seen the movie Elvis, I don't know what you think about that movie, but Elvis Presley, of course, he is just chilling around at Graceland. People have had numerous encounters with Elvis, so they say. He's appeared in different places. Old Recording Studio, which is now the TV production company in Memphis, and his home in Graceland, of course. There is so many different accounts. Flickering lights, when you say his name. There are actually 2 images that have been caught on film that I have not seen personally. So let's go ahead and say that. But I don't know. I've never been to Graceland, but I think it has so much. They say that music is like the universal language, and it has this ability to connect us all. That's why I love being in the music profession. That's why I love having experienced so much with grief and sadness, because it has this ability to allow us to share authentic stories. And Elvis Presley, let's talk about him. His sadness, could you imagine, like, the weight of fame? Because he rose rather quickly to fame. And then I think about, like, artists today, like me. I haven't toured in a really long time. I'm excited to tour, but you don't have to have the road. You can have this, and you can have all of this, and you can have this, and it's just instantaneous. Here's a new song. They had to pump out on the road. They lived out on the road all the time, hundreds and hundreds of dates a year to stay relevant. So all that comes with such heaviness, and then in employing his family, and then losing his mother, and then all of the criticism, and then his manager, the general, who was just stealing money, and he was having to cope with the heaviness of, so, the drugs and everything else that come along with it, just the weight of fame at that time, I cannot imagine. And then, of course, his untimely death. But Graceland, this world that he built for his family and those he loved. I mean, if I were, well, I keep saying that. If I built Graceland and I died, I'd stick around and hang out all the time too. No, I don't know. I think I guess all that to say is, like, music has this way to connect us, and I think there's a lot of beauty and timelessness in his vocals and in his recordings. And if a lot of those were in his recording studio, then of course, you'd be endeared to that place in space, right? I mean, I'm endeared to this place. I love this studio, which, by the way, I'm going to put out a video of an official tour of this place. So we have 1, 2, 3. 3 of the walls are concrete. So I have hammer drills, but, like, do you know how long it takes to put in 90 foot of trim? So it's like 1, 2. So I only have like 80 to go. But nonetheless, hopefully the contractor will be here and we'll be able to finish this up. And I won't have hammers and levels just chilling in the middle of the yard, middle of the, what's that thing called? Floor. There you go, guys. All right, so we've done John Lennon, Lucille Ball, I Love Lucy, Orson Welles, Bonnie and Clyde, Al Capone, Marilyn Monroe. Like, arguably one of the most haunted, if you will, houses, because she has been seen at her home so many times. And then her mausoleum at her crypt, people have seen her allegedly. I have not seen any pictures. Now, the craziest thing is the Roosevelt Hotel. This is wild, because the Roosevelt Hotel she stayed at often. But that wasn't known before this had come out. People would see Marilyn Monroe in this mirror. And the mirror was in the room, not at this time, but was in the same room that Marilyn Monroe would stay in every time she would stay at the Roosevelt Hotel, which is very interesting. I love that part. It's just like those types of stories are like, how does that align? I don't know. I just think that's very intriguing. And Marilyn Monroe, we can go down the rabbit hole with Marilyn all day long. Everything from a government cover-up, which I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I won't share all that. That's not what this channel's about. But like, she was very talented. She was a sex symbol before there was this thing that was a sex symbol. She was revolutionizing the actress, the female Hollywood star, if you will, and she had a lot of pressure and stressors, and she had a very untimely death. And there were a lot of questions surrounding her death. And I think that because of all of that, it would only make sense that there would be a lot of undones, right? And so her house in Brentwood, her grave space is apparently still a pretty active place. And also, just a caveat to that, if you all have ever seen the videos of like the Teslas driving through the cemetery, that is amazing. So get a Tesla. I'm gonna do this and put it on here. But you get a Tesla, you drive around at nighttime, and the screen itself has seen numerous different. It's pretty amazing. It's really cool to see all these different. They pick things up in the cemetery, and I love all these videos. They're from all over the country. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. I love it. I love this stuff. God, dude, I really do. It's very intriguing. It's like if you were to if you were to haunt somewhere, it's like, where would you haunt? That's where I'm finding myself think. I'm like, I would be here. I would just like chill in here a lot. I would probably, like go and bug my kids, like pick up their baseballs and, or tell them to clean their room or write "clean your room" on the mirror. I think I'm funny. I don't care what you say. I can say what I want. Let's see, who else did we say? We didn't say Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was a big actress in like the silent films, and she was pretty much a glitz and glamour kind of gal, but before like the sex symbol stuff, so to speak. She moved into this really big house, and this house was also haunted, allegedly, and then I need to backtrack. I was reading about Lucille Ball's having a haunted house and then that room catching on fire. No, Joan Crawford. So everything I said before, way before about the fire and all that shit, all was wrong. It's Joan Crawford. I got my notes mixed up. Joan Crawford moved into a house, a huge mansion, it allegedly was already haunted, and there was all this seance bull crap. They actually had to do an exorcism to Joan Crawford's house after her death. Even before her death, when they moved in, they did an exorcism. Apparently it didn't work because it's still a pretty haunted place. Nonetheless, just want to clear that up. Lucille Ball was heard upstairs in her upstairs of the house. Yes, the people who live in Lucille Ball's house say they experience her all the time. Things do fall over, but Joan Crawford, just to clarify. Her room caught on fire after her death. Sorry about that. Jeez. Someone once said, what did they say? Oh yeah, yesterday I got a comment that said, "Do better." I'm like, damn it, being human and all. How dare me? How dare me? Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino is, I don't know who this guy is. I'm in the rabbit hole, guys. Now he's in the silent film world as well. His house, man, all these people from like the 50s and 60s that die, they're just straight chilling, They don't want to leave. I wouldn't want to leave either. Think about it. You have to write I love writing letters, by the way. Writing letters is a dying art. Do not lose it. Keep writing letters, but like you got to go to your rotary phone. You can say, "Operator, connect me to Jeremy." And you wait. Now it's just all of it's instantaneous. There's a lot of paranormal-esque type stuff. Which is it because Hollywood is like I don't want to call it evil because I'm not saying it is or isn't, but everyone always says, "Oh, they're all evil over there." I mean, you have the Black Dahlia, you have the house, of course, where the Manson murders took place, and that is still a hotbed for activity. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of stories surrounding this. Like, you all are going to be just stuck in the perpetual rabbit hole as well. Which, by the way, have you all noticed on my channel all of the thumbnails that are changing? I mean, we're just trying to make it look, pretty. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to keep it fresh. Which, speaking of fresh, new merchandise is coming at you very soon too. It'll be available here on the YouTube. I'm really excited about it. We got shirts and mugs. It's going to be called Holy Shirts and Pants. Name that movie. Holy Shirts and Pants. People loved the 27 Club. You all remember me talking about the 27 Club. It's like there is the unspoken club of people, famous people, artists that live to be 27 and then face an untimely death. Of course, you have Kurt Cobain as one of them, James Morrison, and people really had a ton of interest and intrigue about that and surrounding that and the whys, you know? Would you want to know? Like, do you really want to know all the whys around? I don't. And speaking of, since we're talking about death, and there is a beautiful parallel to death and creativity, because death either makes us bitter or it makes us better. And either of those feelings, hopefully, if bitter is one of them, is only temporary, but they both afford us an opportunity to share an authentic piece of art, if we allow it to. And the song Last Time, which is releasing at midnight, which the song is number 34 at radio, Yet is number 20 at radio. So I have 2 singles in the top 40 at US radio, which is amazing. But Last Time is about, would you want to know when your last time would be? And who will you spend it with should that be made known to you? What would you do? That's what this song is about, you know? And I'm always wondering, I've been asked, would I want to know? No. However, if I had no choice but to know, then I would want to have my last moments with, you know, my sons, and maybe having a moment in the studio one last time, creating one more piece. It's like, what would you do? You know, what would you do? I don't want to know when I'm going to go. So that's why you live a life of meaning to the best of your ability right now. That's the why around Last Time. And I'm really excited because you write these songs and you talk about paranormal stuff, or you enjoy paranormal podcasts or crime podcasts, and you know, you go to the restaurant and people are like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen, or the grossest thing you've ever seen? It's just like, this works. Like, this whole musician, funeral professional, there's this uniqueness about it, and it's kind of like that book, the pick your journey book, or, you know, turn to page 38 if you want to see him get on the train, or 57 if you want to see him build a house and start a family. I'm going to get on the train, right? And I think that death brings us together. And so does the thought of a bunch of ghosts just chilling and hanging out. Another place that you're going to find a ton of paranormal activity are like Civil War battlefields, because those are kids. They're like little kids going to war, 15-year-olds lying and saying they're 16 and 17. And you have 18, and so many people died, a very gruesome and sad death. And that is when, of course, the funeral profession became more prominent because of embalming and getting a loved one from the battlefield back on a train, right? So they would have embalmers embalm. But if you go to, or if you talk about these Civil War sites and you do research, you'll hear all kinds of stories about, I mean, they have a bunch of really cool footage that is unexplainable of battlefields at nighttime or at dusk, and you absolutely have things that happen that are unexplainable. Oh, it's AI, or see, that's what you have to deal and combat with now, you know? It's like, damn it, I just want Abraham Lincoln to appear right here during my live, and you all could be like, wow. That would be wild. Which, yesterday's video, we were talking about like the omens of people finding out someone's going to die because of the black cat, or the one where the skeleton-looking creature put their arm around. And I made the joke about, you're going out to your mail and your neighbor across the street comes out and they're getting their mail and they're talking to you. And then, you just got, Joe Bones over here with his arm around your neighbor. Do you tell them? I mean, I understand if someone might have a booger in their nose, you want to tell them, definitely. But I don't know that I would tell them if Joe Bones is just chilling with their arm around. I just would sound like a nut job. And then I would probably get the cops called on me, right? So I just glanced down, Jeremy. Yeah, I would love to pick your brain too, because I talk about this just as someone who is I love history. I love how there's a lot of paranormal stories around history as well. But I need more corroborated, right? I mean, it's all cool to read silly, funny legends of, if you will, but the stories that have multiple sightings, multiple stories that align with another one from 10 years prior. That's what I like. So I would love to pick your brain on that, because people are loving it. I mean, it is like one of the top searched things is crime and paranormal. And you'd be amazed at how many people want to know about death type stuff. It's pretty intense. I love it. But I think it's good to listen to all of this, read up on this, share all this with an open mind and a non-judgmental one at that too. Because a lot of people really believe this stuff. And, that goes back to the whole, I meet you where you are. I think it's great. If you like knitting sweaters, then I love that you love knitting sweaters. You couldn't, pay me to sit down and knit one or learn, but I admire the fact that you enjoy it. I'm not going to judge you for it. It's kind of like, if someone thinks that a bird that's shaped like a whatever is going to come in and knock on your window and tell you you're going to die, then so be it. I don't know why I'm saying that. I just think it's important to say that. There's just a lot of knee-jerk to judge, but I really enjoy researching all of this. And I'm sure we've all had those stories that you're like, what was that? What was that noise? Oh, it was the house settling. Or, oh, it was the wind blowing. Or, oh, the power just went out. Talking about Elvis, when people would talk about his name, there's so many stories about where the lights turn on and off. What's the explanation there? I don't know. Is it just a very coincidental time? When I lived above a funeral home on 3 separate occasions, and it happens apparently very frequently, there had been two deaths in that upstairs portion of the funeral home. The phone called 911 and did a 911 hang up on 3 occasions, on 3 separate times over the course. This was a 2-year period. So if you are unaware, a 911 hang up is what law enforcement say can sometimes be the most dangerous of calls, right? Because someone could be being assaulted or hurt, or just call because they're being quiet because there's an intruder. So there's a lot of uncertainties. So on 3 occasions, you have the funeral home, which is the main floor. You have that locked, and then you have to go through a large facility and then go upstairs to another locked area. So on every occasion, law enforcement cannot leave the place where a 911 hang-up call, or any call where they have to make it known, right, that they're there. They can't leave until they've made contact with the owner. So on one particular occasion, somehow they got a hold of, well, obviously the funeral home itself, and then the answering service calls, and they say the law enforcement are outside, this very random back door. So you walk down the stairs all the way through the funeral home, And then they have to make entry into the residence for. So you walk them back in, and then they explain what's going on. So apparently, this phone called the police department, a phone that was the phone number from someone who had died, which is no longer in service, by the way, at all. There's not even a phone plugged into the phone jack. The phone number doesn't even exist anymore. There's no bill paid for it, but it comes from, they said, we received a phone call from this number, which showed up on the caller ID, which is, it's the phone number of the deceased individual. Unexplainable. Or the elevator phone, which is no longer connected either. It's like one of those older, like early 90s. It's very, very plasticky. And it's on there for, I guess, security, safety purpose if the elevator had gotten stuck. Well, it wasn't connected to anything. The damn thing would ring all the time. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm not kidding. It would ring all the time, to the point where there's a volume on the side, and we just turned it all the way down because it kind of freaks you out in the middle of the night when you're hanging out. You know, you're going through, because you go on a death call, or you're getting ready to go on a death call, and then the elevator phone just starts ringing at 11 o'clock at night. You're like, how is this happening? I have no idea. Or the fact that you get back, and about midnight, you get back from a death call, and you get the back of the funeral home, and then, like, so this is the side of the building, but all the way on the back corner, you see what you think are feet by the stairs of a side entrance. You're like, what the hell? This is like midnight. So you kind of peek around, and it's this massive figure. It's like kind of a silhouette, it's dark, and then you walk over, it's a person. They were passed out, but they sat up. And I'm like, and they say, you should fear me. I have the devil in me. And start walking toward you extremely fast. This is true. And I ran probably like a freaking nut job back around and into the back of the funeral home. That was probably the scariest experience of my life, because of the chain of events. It's like, you go on the death call, you receive the loved one, you get the loved one back into the funeral home, you get the cot all taken care of and cleaned up and then reconfigured. You load the cot back into the van for the next death call. You're kind of getting ready to go about your business and go back home, and then you see what you think is a dead person. Dead person's not dead. Dead person then tells you that they've got the devil in them, and they start walking to you all slow like Michael Myers. I did not like that. I know that's not a ghost story. Hell, it could have been. I don't know. But nonetheless, shit's scary. But the joys of ghosts. You know, I have a couple of bucket list items. Number one is I do want to go to Graceland. I've never been to Graceland. Been to Memphis a bunch of times. I want to go and see, and, you know, maybe have an experience of my own. I'll just say Elvis, Elvis, Elvis in the mirror. Maybe he'll pop up. I definitely would love to go and experience like the area in which Marilyn Monroe lived and died. I think it would be amazing. I think it would be amazing to see these places and spaces that we do so much research on, and just, you know, maybe one day hang out with the president, the White House, and see if old Honest Abe just hangs out with us. Maybe I could be in the yellow Oval Room. Is that what they said? I don't know if that's the Oval Office or just the Oval Room. Nonetheless, I would love to hear if there's any other stories that I should be turned on to, because I think it'd be great to research those. I mean, it's endless. It is endless. I still like the ninja story, like the gamer. When he moved into his new place and he was going to bed, he kept hearing the music, and the music was like, he was like, what the hell is that? He went down, he checked all of his Bluetooth devices, and then it was around 3 o'clock at that time. So then every day morning at 3 o'clock, the witching hour, he said, he would just have these really heavy experiences. His dog would freak out, and the dogs always know. The dogs know, the cats know. Let me know a place that I should look into next for the next one. And also, please know I appreciate you all. I'm so excited about you all hearing last time. If I had to know that I was going to be going and I had just a little bit of time, I would be with those that I love more than anything, because that's what life is about. It's about relationships. It's about meeting you where you are. It's about my kids. It's about those closest to you. And you're worth it. You're valued. I'm grateful for you showing up like you do. And this is fun for us. The parallel with life, death, and music, creativity, crime. There's a bunch of good stories. Like I just saw one about the farmer in California. You gotta go down the rabbit hole of crime and mystery. And then the next thing you know, maybe we'll have a podcast episode or a video about it. Maybe you'll be on the next one. Maybe at your death, if I outlive you at like 96, I'll say you will have the most haunted house. Okay, I'll shut up. I'll talk to you. Hey, set your alarm, midnight. Thanks for being here. Be sure to subscribe, and I will talk to you all very, very